Hello, everybody. How are you? Happy Monday. Happy Monday. It's Makeup Monday. Okay, guys, so I wanted to go over today 6 pro tips on how to get the most flawless application if you have mature skin or textured skin, that kind of thing. So I find that these tips and tricks have been really useful. I struggle with mature skin, so these are going to be very, very, very helpful tips. So it's probably no surprise when I tell you that skincare is going to be the most important thing when it comes to hydrating your skin. Is going to be the most important thing when it comes to reducing like the creepiness and that kind of thing. So I always suggest, hi Melissa. So I always suggest making sure that you're prepping and priming your skin correctly. Now, one of the things that I have learned is that a gripping primer for mature skin is really, really effective. And that's the first thing that I want you guys to know is find yourself a really good gripping primer. Now, I said skincare is really important. So obviously a cleanser and all of your serums and that kind of thing. But gripping primer, you did? That's awesome. I'm excited for you to try all that stuff. Especially the pads. I call them maxi pads, but the pads. So gripping primer is really, really, really important. So for example, when you get, hi Krista, a gripping primer is going to allow your foundation to kind of stick to it, stay to it. But finding the correct gripping primer is going to be key for you. Now, for me, as a mature skinned woman, having one that is a moisturizer, a primer, and an SPF is super important. And the reason why I say that is because with mature skin, it's really important to be using SPF every single day. You want to find a good hydrating moisturizer, but you also want it to be a primer, like a gripping primer. So I'm using one that has all 3 of those in one. The great part about it is that it doesn't have any chemical. It actually has zinc oxide in it, which is super, super, super important. And if you use SPF every day, make sure you comment below because it makes me happy to know that people are using SPF. So I like to take it and I like to use like a foundation painter's brush. And as you can see, as I'm putting it on, it's kind of giving that gripping effect to it. So when you apply your foundation, it's going to lay better. And it's really important to use a primer in general. If you're not using it, what is that called? It is called Perfect Sunscreen. I always call it Perfect SPF, but it's Perfect Sunscreen. Perfect facial sunscreen. But it has, hey Nicole, it has chicory root in it. I just saw your message, Nicole. I was just getting ready to message you, but I'm trying to get my live done because I have a meeting tonight. So it has chicory root in it, which is really important when it comes to anti-aging. It helps with collagen production and it plumps the skin as well. So if you look here, you can see where it's been applied to the skin, but it has like that gripping effect to your skin. Now, so I suggest finding an SPF, moisturizer, and primer that's going to do all that for you. The less you have to use on your skin, I find the better people are, because I find people don't stick with tons of products, which is totally understandable, especially with how little time that we have on our hands. But you can already see how it is kind of going down. The next thing is foundation. Okay, so as a mature skinned woman, you want to stay away from liquid, watery based foundations. And unfortunately, that's what a lot of women tend to lean to, because they can use their hands, they can use it. Honestly, it was conditioned to us. Like, that was the big thing with CoverGirl and all that stuff when it came out, was to use a watery base, liquidy base foundation. You want to find something that's very hydrating. What I have found for mature skin is that more of a cream base foundation tends to lay a lot nicer on mature skin, as long as you are using a good primer and you're doing the proper skincare. No foundation is going to go on you correctly or lay correctly on you if you're not using proper skincare. It's kind of like trying to bake a cake, and if you don't put all the ingredients, A, it's not going to taste good, but B, if you don't let it like cool down, then it's going to be like rubbing it and pulling it. So you can't really cover a cake if it's not properly done. And also, are you trying to water your grass without removing your leaves? Like, proper skincare is going to be key. So what I like to do is I'm going to take a cream-based foundation, because that's all I use. I used to wear liquids, that kind of thing, and it just did not jive with me. So I like to take this little spatula. My metal one I can't find, but and what's nice is with this primer, moisturizer, and SPF that I have, you can actually mix it in. However, I like to apply it first. So I tend to use too much foundation, so I have found that it's easier for me to just take it from here, and then I can take it, and then I can get it all nice and warmed up. Now, with cream-based foundations, you're going to notice that it's more of a waxier, hi Charlotte, it's more of a waxier blend to it, which is what makes it so nice and hydrating. However, you have to warm it up, okay? So it's not like Scentsy Wax, so don't get me wrong there. Somebody asked me if it was like Scentsy Wax, and I'm like, no. It's not like Scentsy Wax. So it's just a cream, so it glides really nice and easy. But I love the fact that this specific one that I have does have higher pigmentation. Now, I didn't take very much off of there. However, it's really nice because then I don't have to use tons. So I like to kind of apply it with this little painter's brush. It allows me to go in and just kind of glide on top of it. And that's the next one, is you want to make sure you're applying your foundation with a really good brush and or sponge. Now, what I have found with people with sponges is that they tend to they tend to get a little sponge happy, okay? Unfortunately, yes, I have been down that route, okay? And it's no fun, because then you start to look kind of goofy, right? So you want to make sure you're using the proper utensil, tool, I call it utensil, the proper tool to apply, because application is key when it comes to applying your foundation. Okay, so as you can see here, I've applied that moisturizer, primer, SPF. The skin is nice and prepped. I used a little bit of a darker one today so you guys could see the exaggeration. This is not my natural color, as you can see. I wear a little bit lighter, but I wanted you guys to kind of see the difference. I wanted you to see the difference. So yes, it is an exaggerated foundation color today. But what I like is that I don't have to use as much. I'm just taking a little tiny bit because I didn't put any down there. And I want to make sure that you guys are well aware that this is not my color. It's very, very off color for me. Okay, so again, proper moisturization, primer, hydrating foundation. Kind of stay away from the watery, liquidy kinds, because a lot of them have a higher pH. So when you start to apply that to the skin, it has iron oxide in it. And so typically what you're going to find with a lot of liquidy foundations, watery based foundations, is that they're going to oxidize on the skin. So if you've ever had the issue where your skin or your foundation turns a funky color by the end of the day, or you get this line like you saw on my face a little bit, that's when the air hits the foundation. There's many other things that can be kind of the cause, but that's one of the most common causes. Kind of think of it as like if you have an avocado or a banana and the banana turns like brown, turns gross, that is oxidization, and makeup can do that as well. The other thing is stay away from powders. Powders can tend to exacerbate, unfortunately, our skin issues. So what I like to do is I like to take like a little powder puff and some translucent powder, and I just like to pat it in there, and I just like to go in and I like to pat. Okay, now everybody should be using some sort of translucent powder, setting powder, because that's going to be really important. But also, you don't need to bake. Unfortunately, mature skinned women, your days of baking underneath your eye are no bueno. Like, you don't want to do it. Okay? You want to stay away from it. I always kind of put a little bit more translucent in these areas because I tend to be a little bit more oilier skinned. Okay? But you can see how this powder puff really helps with setting. Okay, now as you can see, you want to stick with like the middle of the face first. You saw me apply it into these areas, and then I just kind of moved it out. That's really important. You want to make sure that you start with like your concealers and do your concealers. Ooh, one of my hairs kind of got in there. I like to just take my concealers and apply a little bit over in here and just a little bit over in here. Ooh, I sneezed. And I just like to take that brush, and then I can go in, and then I can pat it in. Cream base for your concealers is going to be your best friend if you have mature skin. Okay, that's just how it goes. That's just how it's going to be. Cream base is just going to be your friend just all around. I'm just applying some more of that concealer just so it looks a little bit more. Now I'm going to show you guys, if you use like a sponge, how much the difference is too. And you can just kind of go in. Okay, so if you don't want any creasing, creamy concealer is going to be your friend too. Okay, so that's the other one. Now, the other thing that is great is you want to stick with like cream, like when you're looking for foundations, anything that says like dewy or glowy is going to be really good. Stay away from matte foundations. Unfortunately, matte foundations is not a mature skin person's friend. Now, some of you may say, well, I have really oily skin. Well, there's things that you can do for that, like a setting spray that is meant for oily skin. Okay, so like the one that I use on my face is for oily skin. It actually has a patent of time release temperature control. So as my skin starts to possibly get overheated, oily, it actually has these little cooling balls that suck that in. So it also is going to help regulate that oil production during the day. So that's really important. And like I said, reducing the powder is going to be key. but staying away from powders and that kind of thing, but only using a little bit of the translucent powder is going to be key. So those are my 6 pro tips. If you would like my cheat sheet on how to contour and highlight like a boss, make sure that you comment below and I will get you that information for free. So I hope you guys have a great day and a happy Monday. And remember, kindness is trending, so be kind, and don't forget to hit 3 bubbles up there so you can see me every time I